Some have asked me what exactly are the goals, the mission, the vision of the South Carolina Pastors Alliance. It's a legitimate question. Scripture tells us that where there is no vision, the people wander aimlessly. In fact, it literally means they'll wander around in a desert until they die. And in some ways, that's exactly what has happened in our country. We are aimless. There is no direction. Our greatest and best minds from the most elite universities have not been able to figure out how to get this nation back on the right track. And so the South Carolina Pastors Alliance has a goal and a mission to help our elected officials and those who are leading this culture in a direction that can again bring the favor of God and the purposes of God back into everyday, ordinary Americans so we can see His hand upon us in blessing again. You know, the vision we carry as an alliance is to help bring our state and our nation back to the fullest expression of what the purpose and destiny of God is for us as a people. And this is going to happen when we implement just several bullet points. The South Carolina Pastors Alliance is committed to defending the cause of faith, family, and freedom. There are many, many organizations that are doing just that in this particular hour and in our particular state. But we believe we are uniquely tooled as pastors to not only help them, but to help this culture. We have the influence and the voice to be able to do this in an amazing, unique way. Our network in our churches is already established, and so we have the capacity to do that. We believe in things like the authority of Scripture, acknowledging God as the creator and king over all of His creation. We believe that God is the centerpiece to all of this. And while we realize that many people will worship at many different churches under many different doctrines, we believe that God has to again be the center of all that we do. We believe that Jesus told us in the Great Commission to go forth and disciple nations, to teach the nations to observe all that He commanded. And so we do that. We believe that the Bible holds solutions to every issue we face as a culture. Many people don't realize that the Bible has something to say about foreign policy, about war, about immigration, about taxes, about social issues. The Bible speaks even in bailouts. I know people will say, now you're kidding. The Bible speaks about bailouts? It certainly does. How will we ever know about it unless pastors begin to bring those biblical solutions to their congregations and they share with them from the Scriptures exactly what God's thoughts and God's heart is in these areas. We believe that we're to be involved, and the Alliance is to encourage pastors in their involvement. We believe that pastors sometimes feel like they're isolated, they're all alone, that there's nobody standing with them. We want them to know that there are pastors in their state that are behind them and encouraging them. In fact, if there is ever a pastor that finds himself under a media onslaught for standing up for righteousness' sake, doing that which is appropriate and proper and ethical according to the Scriptures, if a pastor ever finds himself under media onslaught, we know that sometimes that can seem overwhelming. It seems like they delight in isolating a pastor and then taking their shots at him. All a pastor has to do now is call an alliance, and we can send dozens of pastors that will stand with him. And the culture will soon see that it's not just an isolated incident, but there are literally scores of pastors and people who believe and will stand with them as well. We want to equip within our congregations people who will run for office and to lead our nation. We want to be able to raise the next generation of leaders up who will begin to have these precepts in their heart and begin to be released in order to find their destiny in elected offices and in government jobs, to be able, once again, as Christians, to be salt and light in this arena. And then lastly, we want to be able to support our current elected officials. We want to pray for them. We want to be able to encourage them when they do the right thing and they sponsor the right legislation or they take a stand on tough issues in our current day. We want to be encouragers, letting them know that we appreciate their strong and godly stance. At the same time, if we find our elected officials not being able to make a good decision, we want to be the heat and the fire beneath some of that, hopefully changing their mind in order to lead our nation in the right direction. And of course, no matter what their positions are, we want to pray for them because that's what the Scripture says. We're to pray for our leadership and to lift them up and to help them know that there are pastors that are praying for them and believing God with them in whatever issue they're facing. Now, I just want to remind you again that I'm well aware of the fact that I'm just one voice. I pastor one church in Charleston, South Carolina. I don't know how much one local church can do to change our state or to change our nation. I don't know what one pastor may be able to do with regards to arresting the attention of a culture that's speeding to destruction. I don't know if by myself I can do that, but together we can gather as an alliance. And perhaps our one voice individually may not do much, but our one voice collectively can begin to do incredible things as God uses His church to be the mountain of the house of the Lord that will be above all of the mountains. We say as an alliance that our intention is to recover the Judeo-Christian ethic again in our nation as the prevailing philosophy. We've diverted from this path, and because we've diverted from it, we've seen the fruit of what's taking place in our nation. We're seeing our neighborhoods deteriorate, murder rates going up. We're seeing debt escalating. We're seeing decisions being made that are taking us down a path that we all know will ultimately lead to our destruction. Maybe not overnight, and maybe not next week. But if you're a student of history, you know that it's going to lead us to a place within a generation or two, should Jesus tarry, that will be unrecoverable. So we're unapologetic in this regard. We want to influence and we want to help bring our culture back to the Judeo-Christian ethic. We believe it's the ethic that comes from the Scripture. We believe that from that same ethic, God will one more time loose His hand of favor and blessing upon us, and we'll be able to see a good and prosperous state and nation come to us again. I encourage you, if you know a pastor, if you are a pastor, I encourage you to get in contact with us. We would love for you to be aboard and for you and your voice to become a part of the great voice in order to see our nation touched and changed.